trips, been to Birmingham and Manchester, and now we're in London. Keep up the great work.
Okay, I understand you got a book out this weekend. What book is that?
It's called How Egyptian and Sumerian Realities Became the Bible's Mythology.
Okay, and to a newcomer, what does that mean?
Well, it's showing you how the Bible, as you're reading today, is merging Egyptian realities, Sumerian, ancient Babylonian realities, but they've added Hindu mythology, Greek mythology, and Roman mythology to spell Bibles, and it will help break that spell.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay. We've reached that time now where we're going to have the final speaker for the evening. Another one coming over from the US of A, as you said, you wouldn't hear it. He goes by the name of Dr. Amadou Vama Tissam, my brother himself. Okay, let's hear it for Haru Hotep. Haru Hotep.
This is Baby Talk. How's everybody feeling? Is it okay I come around and talk to you? I'm pretty tall, as you can see. Is Baby okay? First of all, let me first say thank you to all of you for coming out. This event was put together by a lot of hard-working people you see around here with cameras in the kitchen, the booths, and security standing around. And I'd first like to ask you to give them a round of applause for being here. I'd also like to say that we greet you in the name of our ancient ancestors and descendants. Be they called Elohim in the Bible, or Allahumma in the Quran, or the Orisha by our ancient Yoruba known as the Lukumi people, or the Gingwins, or Umare, or Shishuki, or the great beings of ancient Sumer called the Anunnaki, or Anutu, or we refer to them in ancient Africa also as the Neteru. Some call them the gods, the messengers, those who were both females and males, deities incarnated, who were scientists, alchemists, physicians, nurses, agriculturalists, botanists. They specialized in various fields of endeavor that were necessary to create a society of healthy individuals, both mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Without them, we would not be. And it is to those beings who came here and those who were born here, as well as your personal grandmothers and grandfathers. We thank them as well, because without my mother and father, and their mother and father, and their mother's mother and father, we would not be here today, myself nor would you, and we should give praise to them. And we shouldn't be made to feel guilty about giving praise to our ancestors and our descendants. For far too long now, we, the children, be we called Caribbean or Caribbean, be we called Latin Americans, be we called black, be we called Negro, be we called nigger to some, be we called Nuwaubian, Haminins, Nubian. All of those names that we've been called or we address ourselves as, we are all one family. And we are all one family that finds its roots in the motherland, also known as the father's land, called Africa today. We refer to her as ancient Hominins. We must remember from whence we came, and more importantly, how to get back home. Because as you just heard the brothers and sisters from the group Imashi, as they were playing the djembe, the talking drum, and other cultures that played, but that djembe is the sound of the very sound of creation. The very sound of the heartbeat that beats within the chest of each and every one of us, pumping the blood throughout our body. That djembe in ancient times, as it will be in the future to come, was used to communicate the songs of our descendants and our ancestors, and it told our story. And somewhere along the line, a group of beings came in from Europe, and got us to believe that we should give up playing that drum and dancing that dance that told our story. And it made us feel ashamed of who and what we are. But no longer. We are now in the time of 2006 to some. And in this great time, we must now begin to identify with who we are, our greatness, and more importantly, get back to that great way of thinking, acting, treating one another. Y'all understand? It's a very important day and time, because all other groups of people have already made their link to the land of their nativity, of their genealogy, of their bloodline, other than us. We are the only ones. The so-called East Indians, the Asians, you call them here, have made their link to East India. They go back and forth and they develop their land. The so-called Oriental have made their link. They've come here, Americas, they've gotten their education, and they've taken back the technology and the development to Japan and China and South Korea and North Korea. The so-called European is here, and regardless of what we say, he has this land under his control. But there is a place for you and I in our father's land, the land of our forefathers and our foremothers, and that land is called Africa. I'm not saying pack up everybody, let's rush home. I'm saying don't forget where you came from. Develop where you came from. Take the technology back to where you came from, because we are suffering from a brain drain. They're pulling our doctors from Africa, our nurses from Africa, our engineers, our professional-minded people are being pulled from Africa. Meanwhile, those of you sitting here today that are professional people in the various walks and endeavors from IT on up, they don't want you. And yet we stay here in the Americas and we tolerate the conditions that we've been forced under, instead of going home, going to a place or places, because Africa is a continent, not a country. Going home and taking back the knowledge that we have gained here and developing our own land where we will be treated as royalty again. Anyone ever been to Africa, any part? And how many of you, once you've gone there, say, when you get back home, I want to go back? But why don't you? Why have you allowed yourself to come back in here and stay here? Do like all other groups of people. Go back and forth. Seek out your own. We have a group here called the Hominins Kanisa group, which is simply the ancient African assembly. And my brother Jesse, raise your hand so they can attack you after is helping us to organize it properly. Is everyone clear? Now, we were called here today to speak to you about solar biology, about who you are, about the mythology of the world today and how it's been used to enforce a spell of sleep that has caused us to be disbanded. How many people sitting here right now, right this very moment, by looking around you, see people that you do not know? By a show of hands. Should be all of us. Well, if we're seeing people that we do not know, yet we've all gathered in this place, this spot, this very moment today, make sure you don't leave here without introducing yourself to someone that you do not know. Because if not, then this event would not have served the purpose, which was to gather us. Now follow. If we get up and walk out of here, and this brother with the red hat doesn't introduce himself to this brother with the blue sweatshirt, then there's a problem. Because 2 days from now, they might be in a situation where there's a problem, and you may need him. All other nationalities, all other groups, all other quote-unquote races of people understand that basic principle, that if you are of the same race and the same kind, then you need each other, because without each other you will not survive what the world is going through right now. So don't walk out of here today. Don't just listen and hear solar biology, or don't just listen and hear creation, or don't just listen and hear about the Illuminati, or don't just listen and hear the music. Listen and hear the voice of your ancestors. talking to you from inside and saying, this is your family. And in this family, we have agreeable and disagreeable. And they're both necessary. We need the agreeable because at times we need the passiveness to be able to soothe that baby. And we need the disagreeable because sometimes somebody tries to run up on the stage. That's real. Won't do that no more. Solar biology. Solar biology is simply saying you're linked to the stars. You see, each and every one of us sitting here today, the day that you were born, the universe, which is alive, which has a heartbeat, a biorhythm you call it, had to align to let each and every one of us through the womb of our mother. The mother principle of ancient Africa, sisters, the mother principle called Mat, water, and other, the sea. The mother principle, the goddess principle, the deitist principle of ancient Africa was called Rahmun. Say that word. And it represented yielding, because when a woman is in labor, and if anyone has ever been in labor, and there you man, if any of us have ever been in the labor or delivery room, wow. To watch the transformation that the female's body has to go through to allow a baby to come into this world, the universe has to align for this to take place. In ancient Haru called Africa today, this principle of alignment was called Ayunet. Say that word. Or some call it the Dindira. Say that word. And that word Dindira, it was Den, Der, or Dendere. The Dendere, Re, of course, being the symbol or the name of the symbol called the sun. The Den represented the rule, or that which rules over you. And the Dendera was the system that ruled over you, meaning how the stars, called suns by some, how the elements, be it called earth, wind, water, or fire, how those principles, why we said the word Tamane, Ta, earth, Ma, water, Re, the source, and the creativeness, the female. Some call Hu, the masculine, He, the feminine. That principle used this movement of the constellations, and they actually lined up and told what moment you were to be born. You see, today, you go to a doctor or a physician, when you are carrying, sisters, please don't say you're pregnant. Don't say your wife or your girlfriend is pregnant. Sisters, don't say I'm pregnant. Because the word pregnant is before genet. The word genet is the word jinn or a devil. You are not pregnant. You are with child. But when you are with child, that zodiac lines up and it will tell the very nature of the child. The type of character the child will have. Scientists do it today, and it's called genetic engineering. They're playing with it. We have a science, our ancient ways, and that zodiac, called the Dendera, or solar biology, says that your biological structure, known to some as your DNA and your RNA, is controlled by the weather, by your environment, the people you associate with, the foods that you eat, the music that you listen to, the clothing that you wear or don't wear. All of these things affect you like any other creature or animal on this great planet called Mother Earth. We must find out and find our way back to the principles of ancient Africa. Because how is it that we existed for millions of years, I didn't say thousands, millions of years as rulers, as great builders, as great scientists, as great mathematicians, and within less than 400 years, we're nothing. What happened? We gave up the acknowledgement of our ancestral deification. you and I were made to feel that to identify with solar biology, or to identify with my great-grandmother or my great-grandfather and say, I pray personally to my grandmother, Kula. And they'll say, there you go. And they'll say, how could you pray to your grandmother? I say, because I know she's a God that's real. You know why I know she's real? Because I'm standing here. And the fact that I'm standing here says that she existed. But instead, somewhere along the line, someone taught us to worship other than ourselves. To call on the power of another, be it Allah or Jehovah or Elohim, as they say, or God or Jesus. All of these names of other people's religion. A few days ago, we were speaking in Birmingham. We're going to ask you a question that we asked the people there. How many of us are from a Christian background? Muslim, Christian, Hebrew background. And being of that background, we're sure you know these answers, okay? How many of us heard of a tribe called Israel? And those of us who've heard of a tribe called Israel, you can yell out the Israelites. 12 how many? Sons, tribes. Anyone can yell out any of the tribes, please. Excellent, great, excellent, perfect. You've paid attention. And this tribe of Israel came from a man called what? And Jacob's name was changed. You guys you're batting 1,000. If you were playing cricket, you have anyway. And this man, Jacob, was the son of who? Isaac. That's okay, that's okay, that's okay. And Isaac had a brother named Esau. And Esau and Isaac were the sons of, Esau and Jacob were the sons of Isaac and his mother's name? Rebecca. And Isaac was the son of who? Abraham. Has anyone ever met Abraham? Now tell me your great-grandmother's name. A few of us yelled it out, didn't we? Now, how is it that we know Abraham? And Abraham was the father of Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael was and Isaac was the father of Jacob and Eve. We know all these names, but our personal relatives who lived only a few generations, not quite 100 years ago, their names we don't know. But someone has taught us to memorize a bunch of characters that supposedly, and I do say supposedly, lived 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, perhaps 6,000 years ago. But we don't know our great-grandmother and our great-grandfather's name, and they were only 2 generations from us. Is that not sad? What has happened to us as a people that we base our whole lives on the memorization and appreciation of everybody else's culture other than our own? We like their music and their foods. What the heck is fish and chips? Anybody like it? Okay. Special. I want some curry, curry and roti and bangku and fufu, and I want some of us. Because that food, let me tell you something. If you are what you eat, if you're eating European, then what are you? We got to start eating Africa and start eating Caribbean and start eating who we are, and that will wake up the DNA within us to do the great things that we once did. Don't tell me you descended from the ancient Egyptians and then you eat foods that the ancient Egyptians didn't eat and wonder why you can't remember the formula to build the pyramids. You're not wearing what the ancient Egyptians wore and wonder why you can't remember the formulas to perform the eye surgeries anymore. You're listening to music that the ancient Africans and the ancient Sioux Aztecs and the ancient Carib people called Adawite didn't listen to and wonder why the boys are walking around with their pants hanging around their butt. Hey, what's up? We better start identifying with who we are. Solar biology said you have a positive aspect to your nature and a negative aspect to your nature. How many people are Capricorn? How many of us are Libras? Any Aries? Yeah. Any Virgos? Gemini? Leo? Aquarius? Taurus? Yeah. All a bunch of garbage. Well, none of that stuff got nothing to do with you. Who the heck is Gemini? It is Gemini. Who is Gemini? I don't read the Bible back and forth. I didn't see the word Gemini. Read the Quran, didn't see Gemini. But we run around, oh, Gemini, Pisces, oh, well, Pisces, Sun. A bunch of Greek and Roman garbage praising their gods, mythological gods at that help enslave you and me, mentally, and in many cases, physically, still. But if I tell you, no, your sign is Ascent, your astrological sign. Ascent, what's that? That's you. Because she had a nose like you. She had a head like you. Don't act like we don't got a big head. I was back there trying to fit this thing. They were stepping on my head. Come on now, if I tell you your sign is Tar, well, who's that? Tar is the opener. The one who opens the womb for you to come through. You are a Tarite. Some can say Pathite. Some say Tarite. You are the original people of this planet. And you know what's so strange about it? While we're so busy trying to be everybody else, everybody wants to be you. You are everything from light to dark. And that's beautiful. We got big nose, thin nose, big lips, thin lips, big and little, and we're just everything. We're unique. The only type of people who can endure all the crap and garbage that's been done to us, and we're still standing, y'all. Give yourself a round of applause. Because after 6,000 years of their religion, be it Islam, be it Judaism, be it Christianity, after 6,000 years of their religion and their music and their pork and their beef and all their bad food, you are still standing and you can still laugh about it, and they can't figure that out. They're like, they're laughing. We gave them AIDS, they fought it, they're living. We gave them crack, they shook it off and still moving. Everything, we gave them game, they shot each other for a while. Everything they've done to you and me, we're still surviving because your zodiac, your solar biology sign, solar biological sign said you are supposed to be here. Because your DNA says you're supposed to be here. Your DNA controls the very destiny of you, the very will of you. What makes you live? What makes you survive the hard, the bills and the taxes and everything else? Your will. Not your free will. Free will is the illusion. Free will says, I can do whatever I want. There's no repercussions. You are part mammal, like every other mammal on the planet. And we had a link, and that deitess or goddess, or Nitert Tawret. Ta, earth, Wa, and Ret. Ret, R-E-T, say that word. We'll learn a lot of words tonight. Ret is the female principle to Re. Re, R-E-T, is the male principle, and Ret, R-E-T, is the female principle. There is a male and female principle to all of our ancient descendants. For all the brothers who think, oh, about the man, no, without the female, there will be no male, and without the male, there will be no female. Now talking about the gender male and the gender female, the principle of the current, or the polarity, positive and negative current. Both necessary for things to come into existence. Are y'all clear? So when you linked into solar biology, you tied into Earth, Ta, Wa, and Ret, the mother goddess, the sun. The sun principle, the principle of a female who becomes ruler. Because the sun is the ruler of the zodiac. And in ancient Tamaray, the female called Tawaret is the ruler of our zodiac. She's the mother principal, the wife of rain, the reflection of rain, the progenitor, that which gives birth to the seed of rain. We must get back to that principle. We must get back to who and what we are. And stop being afraid to tell people. Say something with me if you will. Say, I was a Negro. I was a nigger. I was black. I was confused. I was abused. I was misinformed. I was uninformed. I was out of my damn mind. Now say, but now I know who I am. I am an African. I am a Caribbean. I am a Nubian. I am a Nuwaubian. Simply meaning, for those who wonder what's that word that I just said, those who deal with things that can be proven. And lastly, I am in Tamaray. And they're going to tell you, well, Tamaray, what is that? And you say, something that you don't know about. And you know what? I ain't going to tell you. Because every time we tell you our secrets, you use it against us. So you hold that thought. You have a great day. Cheers. Now, when we first came out, someone yelled, are there going to be questions and answers? Yes. If you have any questions and answers, please raise your hand so my brother Guy can get the microphone to you. And we will do our best. Don't ask me nothing hard.
Earlier on you say that the moment someone comes into this world during labor, it's because our ancestors have chosen that exact moment.
No, that the universe aligned and it chose that exact moment.
Yes, so while that's happening and that process is interfered, let's say by C-section, which a lot of sisters are given when they go to hospital, you know, that kind of stuff, is there, what happens to the child spiritually, seen as the universe didn't align at that particular moment and it was interrupted?
It was done by the hands of man, right? Because they'll say those born not by the will of man. Man intervenes and performs a cesarean section, Caesar, and brings the child forth. But that child, because of your consciousness, is then given what after they're born?
A prayer? Supplication?
A birth ceremony. See, in our ancient culture, we have ceremonies to fight against the forces of Apophis to some, Suan to others, Satan, the devil, Iblis, got a bunch of names. But we have rituals by which to protect our children by calling on the names of certain deities, and these names activate certain elements in nature that protect the child. Okay? Anyone else? Please take this time if you have questions to ask them, because of the time, once it hits a certain time and we exit, we won't have the opportunity.
Come like that. Some people who worship Jesus, Jesus is an ancestor.
Which Jesus?
Yeah.
You see, the real Jesus wouldn't call himself Jesus. That's the problem. There's no black Jesus. Zeus is a Greek. And the problem is that most of us have never studied mythology, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, the arts, rhetoric. But every time I'm saying Jesus, and I hope it doesn't offend anyone, but every time I'm saying Jesus, I'm calling on that which helped to put me in this condition. Because when the Queen Isabella and all the other queens and kings of Europe, when they sent forth their conquistadors and their emissaries and their religious mercenaries to take their religions to the Caribbean, to take their religions to North America, to take their religions to South America, to take their religions to Africa, when they came in with it, it was not for the intention of helping you. It was for the intention of helping themselves to what you had.
Just my one question. Is it true that with 12 strands of DNA and those guys originally?
12 strands of DNA originally that have been mixed in with other bacteria and other genes. Matter of fact, my sister is out there now, and she's taking blood. She did mine a little while ago. Little prick of blood, put it under the microscope. You get to look on the computer screen, and she tell you, this is what's wrong with you. You got to see that right there. That cell is damaged. It's amazing. So yes, you some people you stick at me. You go to sleep. You follow. Originally, yes, you had original 12 strands of DNA that has now been watered down by breeding in with others than self and kind. We've got to reverse it. Solar biology says we must reverse it and start to breed for genetic superiority. Not just complexion, but this. Our young ladies and our young men coming up, stop getting with somebody just because they're cute. It doesn't mean get with somebody ugly either. Because when you wake up in the morning, you gotta look at this person. You're blaming me. But start to ask questions before you copulate. Questions like, are there any crazy people in your family? And if he said, why are you asking me that? That's a yes. Are there any blood ailments in your family? Are there any Down syndrome in your family? Are there any alcoholics in your family? Now that doesn't mean if they say yes, you don't want to deal with them anymore, right? It means that now you know if you conceive a child, what type of hell or heaven you're going to lock into that child's genes. What things is this child or are those children going to now have to fight against? That's called eugenics. Today they call it genetic engineering. We have to genetically engineer to ensure that that little baby that's in her lap, and these three children standing over here, and any other children in here that I don't see, little girl, one there, we must ensure that they are raised to know about their genealogy, about their blood type, that they know about their solar biological signs, that they become engineers and doctors and physicians and things of that nature, so that they will not let our gene die. I don't mean the gene, just the black gene. I mean the gene, the 9 ether mind, the thinking gene. Those who have the ability to think and see through the mess that the world is now faced with. Is everybody clear? Any other questions? Go ahead.
So there's two things I want to ask. You know, people that like hear
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You know, people who hear voices.
People who hear voices?
Yeah, where does that stem from? Like, if psychiatric I'm talking, is that from hereditary or?
Psychiatric can be, not like all of us in this room who do hear voices.
No.
Right? Because everybody in this room has voices in their head right now as we're sitting here. Some of you here, you're sitting here, you have a voice in the back of your mind going, I'm hungry. How many? I'm one. Some of you are sitting here and you have a voice in your head saying, that's interesting what they just said. Others of us have a voice saying, I don't believe that. Others of us have a voice saying, I had to call him later. Others of us have a voice saying, she's cute. Tell them something now. You follow those voices. Now, you're asking about people in psychiatric care. What they don't teach us about is that all of us sitting here, we are from our mothers and fathers. And our mothers and fathers are a genetic fiber, mother and father going back. That genetic fiber is the cell, the DNA. It's like the fiber of a sweater that has lines like a graph paper. And that genetic fiber can be torn, can be damaged. Can be torn or damaged to open up to assist you, or can be torn or damaged and damage your genealogy. Let us explain. If I'm taking drugs, drug abuse, crack, cocaine, heroin, whatever else is out there today, I'm damaging the genetic fiber of who and what I am. Once that happens, I have a child somewhere along the line after that, without taking conscious knowledge of what took place to clean my blood, etc. This child, while in the womb during the 9-month gestational period, the nutrients that the mother's taking in, the music, the sounds, the people she's around while carrying, all of that is helping to make or form Khnu, the great molder, the deity of the child in her womb. This child, if not properly grown in the womb, which is what we were all grown like any other thing that exists, it's grown. If not properly grown, it has the tear in their fiber, ends up vibrating on a wavelength of disagreeable beings. What do I mean? You have various wavelengths. Has anyone ever heard of a dog whistle? You know, when you blow it, the dogs can hear it, but you can't, right? Right? You cannot hear it, right? Say yes, just to help. Because if you could, we'd have a different conversation. But that whistle permeates or gives off a sound that does exist, but the human ear is not able to perceive that octave. The frequency is either too high or too low, so we don't hear it. A dog's ear are more keen, 9, right? More keen, and they're able to hear that sound. In that same way, there are realms of existence that are here right now. 1, bacteria. There's bacteria in this room right now. Billions of bacteria. Everybody. And these bacteria we're unable to see. But we're breathing them in. Some stay in our bodies, help us. Some stay in our bodies, make us sick. And others just, we breathe them in and we breathe them back out. Is that correct? So these various planes of existence or wavelengths of existence within what you're calling creation, these various wavelengths have beings that reside on them. Some of them are what you call agreeable. Some of them are what you call disagreeable. And others are what you call wicked. And they look for those of their line and come through that fiber that's been torn and can torture an individual. How many people have ever been asleep? Good. And while sleeping, you wake up, but you can't move. And you're screaming. I know it happened to me as a kid a lot. You wake up and you want to beat your brother up because you were like, oh, wake up now. How many people have gone through that before? Me. And you're sitting there and you're like, I can't move. But I can't move. It's called sleep paralysis. And you actually feel something pushing on your back.
No.
And your grandmother, if you're from the Caribbean or the islands or Africa, your grandparents will say, that's the witch riding your back. They were right. They are disagreeable spirits that reside on certain planes. When you go to sleep, because sleep is the sister to death. While you are asleep, you are very close to being dead. While you are sleeping, the emotional part of you, called the soul, the ruach, that which makes you special, leaves and travels interdimensionally. And I don't like the word dimensionally, because dimension, the word die means what? No, not die, D-I-E. Die, 2. But they're more than just 2 dimensions. Right? But you travel into various realms of existence, but while traveling, what happens to the body? The body is left almost lifeless. So these disembodied spirits or wicked spirits see that body laying there and they try to claim the body. I hope I don't scare nobody when you get home tonight. Right? Don't be scared, because you were given a gift called adrenaline. And when you get afraid, you say, I can't move, and that adrenaline fills your body, that adrenaline causes them to, and it snaps you back in, you go, your heart's beating, and you're looking around, and something was in the room, it was holding me down. You follow? So to your question, what sends them crazy, or what seems, it's that they are disagreeable beings that when that being or that person through drugs or other things that happen in society that damage them physically or emotionally or spiritually or mentally, open themselves up, and these beings are trying to come through. Now I'll ask the next part of the question.
You know, in your book in solar biology, solar biology, lunar astrology, you said that David Blaine was a demon from the
Correct.
future. Can you expand on that?
David Blaine, David Copperfield, John Edwards, Sonia Fitzgerald, a bunch of them. These are beings. Remember, when you speak about time, time does not move in a direction. Time does not move forward. Time does not move back. As you're sitting here right now, your grandmother and your grandfather are here right now inside of you in your blood, experiencing with you your experiences, and hurting when your experiences cause you to go down the wrong path. And you'll say, something told me not to do that. I just knew I shouldn't have got with her. I just knew I shouldn't have got with him. I knew when I met you something was wrong. I can't believe I let myself, I'll never make that mistake again. You knew because your relatives, remember, just as you are being the rebirth of your grandmothers and grandfathers who were agreeable, the wicked seed is also being reborn. And they have the genealogy of their grandmothers and grandfathers who were wicked. And they walk amongst us in black skin, white skin, Asian skin, Oriental skin, etc. So when we speak about them coming from the future, we're saying their DNA. You understand? Their DNA, because there's no past, present, and future. Present is here. How do we say present is here? Present is right now. Past is right now. See? There's past now. And future is right there. I'm going to step there. Now I'm in the future. So the illusion of past, present, and future. When we say David Blaine is from your future, we're saying he's in contact with beings that understand there's no past, present, and future. There's only a now, and they're manipulating your now. Because right now is your cycle. Your ruling cycle. And the sun says you're supposed to come back into your rulership. The earth says you're supposed to come back into your rulership. But you don't ask for it, you take it. You don't take it by talking it, you take it by your works. So David Blaine, when we say these are demons, because they understand about those planes of existence and they're communicating through meditation. They meditate like a cat. Anyone have a cat? Ever had a cat? And a cat will get in a certain position where they're sleeping but not quite sleeping, and they go, and you look and you're like, what in the hell? That cat has dropped to what's called the alpha wave. Say alpha. Alpha wave, which is taken from the word aleph, because if you take A-L-P-H-A, move that last A in between the L, it's A-L-A-P-H, the ancient Aramic word aleph. And that aleph, drawn like a one, up and down, or an I, represented the original principle of creation, the alpha wave. These individuals like David Blaine and David Copperfield, illusionists, magus, not magi, they are illusionists who have dropped into certain wavelengths, the sixth density, where disagreeable spirits and beings are teaching them things to cause you and me to take an interest in their teachings that's not intended for us. We have our teachings. We have our great writers like Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben and the great Dr. Malachi Zio, who were here to give us our information to bring us back to our rulership. But you know, every time that happens, somebody comes along with some book written by some guy in somewhere and says, oh, they're saying that the 12th light of the 12th degree of the 15th element means that we can levitate. And you have somebody walk up to you, brother, I want to ask you about this book. I read this book by this Caucasian guy, and he said that originally we had 15 million neurons of icons, of zictrons, of deuterons, and then you're going, go ask him. Because that wasn't intended for you. You follow? And they're communicating with those types of beings, and how a lot of us watch and go, man, David Blaine, man, he's deep. Right. When you taught me deep was hell. Yeah, David Blaine, he's a deep man. I read this book by David Blaine, and he was saying, I'm like, David Blaine, huh? You really think he cares about you? Do you really think he really considers you special? You really think he's going to teach you the knowledge that he has so you can use it to free and liberate yourself? You better get back to Africa and Nine Ether and Nuwaubian and Tamaré and find out who you are. You understand? Because every time you read their books, Dr. York wrote many things for years. People didn't listen to him. What's the guy's name? David Icke. He wrote about, oh, David Icke says the reptilians. David Icke, yeah, David Icke's one of them. Because you're now back into white skin worship. I'm sorry, somebody asked earlier, a gentleman was saying, so are you saying that all white people are devils? Yes. Now, are we saying that we want to bring out the devil out of all white people? No. What does that mean? I can know what you are, but I don't have to wake it up. You understand? I see a lion. What do lions do to meat? They eat it. So if I understand that, do I go over and pet the lion? Do I? No. How many of you would go pet a lion right now? Show of hands. Okay, he's different. Special. But most of us who aren't special would not go and pet a lion, correct? Why not? Do we hate the lion? But he eats meat. And the last time I checked, I think I would fall in the category of meat to that lion. So I appreciate the lion's respective position in nature. He's necessary. He's necessary for those deer that don't understand the principle called run. And there's a bunch of you, Nubians, Nuwaubians, Haminins, ancient Africans, ancient Caribbean or Caribbean people, who don't understand the principle called run. Because while you're saying, so all white people are devils, and I don't think it's right that you should talk about white people, why don't you go, what's that city where the racist group just won in Parliament? What are they called? Say it again? Why don't you go try to convert them? Huh? Why don't you go in their neighborhoods and say, brother, I'm your brother. I don't see you as a... That's all we're saying. We're saying we got to start caring about us. Because don't nobody cares about us. They don't sit around in their lectures going, you know, I don't think the niggers are all really bad. We need to figure a way to work with them. They're okay people. They don't do that. They don't care. They're busy worried about keeping themselves in power. And we got to figure a way to get ourselves back in power in our own homeland. Y'all understand? Any other questions?
Rahaba, my question is, going back to what you were saying before about genetics, if we overcome a certain mind state in the life we're in now, does that
4 generations.
Alright. Does that mean that our genetics, does that mean that our children won't have to go or make the same mistakes?
Yeah.
Like for instance, if I was a smoker and I overcome that in my mental, does that mean that my child will naturally not be a smoker?
No.
If so,
no, it means that your child would have the taste for that which led you to smoking cigarettes. Let me tell you what I mean. Not that they would have the taste for the nicotine, because most people who smoke either smoke because of people around them are smoking, everybody else is smoking, I wouldn't feel left out, and hand me one. Or they smoke because I'm stressed out. Or they smoke because I'm bored. I have nothing else to do. That's what the child would have inherent in their DNA. They would have the stress, they'll be prone to stress. They'll be prone to being affected by peer pressure. You follow? That's what would be in the gene. So we're not just saying if you were a smoker and you overcome it, your child won't smoke. We're saying if you were a smoker, find out what led you to smoking and make sure that your child is guided in a direction that those things won't be triggered, because if there are, then they'll feed that same desire.
So how do we ensure our children don't make the same mistakes that we made?
By telling them the truth.
Is that by changing the environment as well?
That too. Set up your own homeland. Anybody ever go to Africa?
But that's not so easy in this life.
It's not easy to do it here. Anybody ever go to Africa? How many people you see smoking cigarettes? Not many. For one, they can't afford it, so that's a great thing. You're living in an environment that has so many choices of evil that it's difficult to raise your child in this environment and them not bite or partake of part of that evil. So you have to go home into your own homeland. Take the best that England has to offer. England has a lot of great things. Technology, streets, certain things. Correct? Don't knock it because don't pretend like they don't, because you wouldn't be here now. Tell the truth. England has, don't pretend because you wouldn't have came back. All y'all who raised your hand, got on the plane and came back, you came back for something. There are opportunities here. So take those opportunities there. You don't have to take the crack and the heroin and the gun and all the stuff that destroys us. Take the good things. Take the things that you like. How many people like to roller skate? And that means your children will also like to roller skate. So build a roller skating rink somewhere in Africa. How many people like football? How many people can play football? Don't raise your hand if you can't play for real. You know, man, I can play. That means take the uniforms, the football uniforms, and go to Africa and set up your own football clubs for the little children. So that they won't desire to want to come back here to play football. Y'all understand? How many people like pizza? Don't lie, come on. This is called, like he just asked, tell the children the truth. Take pizza back there. It doesn't have to be white flour, make whole wheat pizza. So your children won't have the desire, because if you like pizza, your children are going to like pizza. And if you don't set up pizza over there, guess what they're going to want to do? Come here. Take the best there before you go. The truth also means don't be like many parents have been, where you try to convince your children you were saints, that you were holy and righteous. Tell them. Tell them the truth. Say, look, I ran the streets. Tell them. Say, I slept with all the women, man. Ooh, 1970. Let me tell you why I say that. Because if you tell them, then they know why they feel the way they feel. But if you're a parent who says, I can't believe you're running the street with those boys, or you're running the street with those girls, and you're sleeping around, then the child is now feeling, why am I like this? Why am I not good like my mother or like my father? But if you tell them the truth, then they will relate to you and say, oh, so you did the same stuff? But what was the end result to it? I got to say this. Okay, that will help the child to steer in the right direction. But as long as we're promoting the hypocrisy of I was righteous, I was holy, I did nothing wrong, from birth to now, I'm perfect. The child can't relate to you, and then they turn to the streets for people they can relate to. And where do they end up? In a worse condition than where you ended up. Tell them the truth, go.
What you're saying makes perfect sense, but if the mother's got predominant control over the child,
if the mother has,
that might not necessarily be reality to take the child to Africa, etc.
Right.
And how do you stamp out how you felt?
Let me tell you what I had to do. You heard his question. What if the mother has control of the child? Right? That happens. Because the father has control of the child. Swallow your pride for the sake of your child and say, I'm sorry. He's looking at me like, yes. Because, no. If it's your child and your concern, your greater love is for the child, isn't that worth it? I'm sorry I was wrong. So that I can now have more influence on my child? Or do we do like most men, most of us do? Well, if she feels that way, I'm not talking to her no more. Who suffers? You're not hurting her. You're hurting your child, and your child is your genealogical future. So is it better to say, look, I know you and I didn't get on. I was a bad person. I cheated. I was wrong, men are dogs. I did all these things that were so wrong, and I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm asking you to allow me back into the life of my child. A little bit. Can you do that? Can you think about it? Don't answer yet. For the sake of how many of us as fathers didn't do that, and our children grew, and now we regret it? Huh? Anybody? It's better to just say, I'm sorry, for the sake of your child. Because if you don't, once that child, and this is what happens most of the time, child hits puberty, and your cell phone will ring one day, and it'll be the mother on the other line. Come and get your son. Come and get your child. I can't talk to him or her anymore. And you're like, oh, I can't talk to him or her anymore? I don't know. And you go to the kid, listen, I'm your father. They're like, yeah. How many of us did that to our fathers? Your father came and, listen, you're doing to me. Like, oh man, where were you? Where were you? You left us. But he didn't leave you, he left her. You follow how it works? And we as parents have to stop that. Brothers, say I'm sorry. Sisters, accept the I'm sorry for the sake of the children. Because both of you are going to be visiting him or her in prison if you're not careful. Both of you are going to be grandparents real early if you're not careful. Both of you are going to be saying, I can't, what happened? How did he or she end up on drugs? If you're not careful. You follow? For the sake of your children, just say I'm sorry. It's a tough one to swallow, I know. Important, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, where does the concept of heaven and hell come from?
It's a concept.
You're right.
Did you hear it? Concept. What's sept mean? 9. The number 9, sept. September was originally the 9th month. Concept. To go against 9. To trick 9. So the concept of a heaven and a hell comes from tricking you. See, originally, we didn't look at heaven and hell except as being where you are. Hell is wherever you are in a hellish state. If I'm a father and my son is on crack, that's hell to me. If I'm a mother and my daughter's a teenage mother, that's hell to me. That I feel the pain and the suffering that they're going to have to go through. And if I'm rich, that's heaven to me. Because everything I want, I can get. I can buy. Let them know. Let them hold the mic. Go ahead. You follow? We originally didn't have this, I'm going to die and go to heaven. We understood that when I die physically, me, this person standing here now, my daughters and my sons who will be living will keep me living eternally. Because I will be in their DNA as a voice talking to them saying, don't do that. Stop that. Yeah, eat that right there. Right there, that's good. Eat that. Don't eat that, that's nasty. You follow? That relative, that DNA inside of them, that's life eternal. Our ancient culture, we did not believe in a spook heaven or spook hell. We understood that eternal life was through your works and your children. As long as you did, give you an example. Dr. Martin Luther King, how many of us know him? So he's alive. Because when I said his name, how many of us can see his face? How many of us can remember some of his speeches and works? Marcus Garvey, how many of us have heard of him? How many of us can see his face? Bob Marley, Winnie Mandela. She's not dead, I'm just saying. They're like, Winnie died? But all of those people who have made the transition from life into the ancestral realm, or spirit realm, or etheric realm, are alive if you remember their works. Now what about that wino that lived in your neighborhood when you were growing up? Anybody had a wino living in their neighborhood when they were growing up? Everybody's hand should go up. Is he remembered? He didn't do anything to make himself or herself, in some cases, remembered. The concept of hell and heaven is just that. Something to con you into believing I'm going to live and get slapped around and kicked in the butt and spat on, and if as long as I accept that enough and be real good, take enough abuse, one day I'm going to die and go to heaven.
Second question.
Go ahead.
This is a bit of a broad one. What is the purpose of human existence now?
Now, the same purpose of human existence then. To perfect yourself. And I don't mean perfect your individual self. I mean perfect your genealogy self. Because how many of us are parents? Do you want better things for your children? Do you want them to have more than you have? And know more than you know? And go to more places than you go to? And see more things than you see? And live better than you live? How many of us want that for our children? So in saying that, we want our children to perfect us. And you will tell your child that. Listen, you're the best part of me. I want you to know, hey, I've had this conversation with mine, I don't know about you. You're the best part of me. When I see you out there doing things, I smile, I see everything I've always wanted for myself, you're becoming. And you pray and you work and you, for them to do greater than you. And guess what your parents did? And when you graduated uni, what did your mother say? Yes. If your grandmother was there, she came in and she sat down and she said, we made it. And she hugged you and started crying, and you know, most of us were like, okay, grandma. And she's crying, and you just don't know your grandfather. I wish he was here. I can feel him here. And you were like, wow, this is deep. This lady's going through an emotional change. But she understood what we understood then, and we need to understand now, that the purpose of human existence is to perfect yourself. Your ancestors didn't create you for you to worship them. If you believe in the Neteru, or the Orisha, or the Alahum, or the Elohim, or the Malakat, or the angels, or the gods, or the deities, whatever way you call them, they didn't create you to worship them. They created you to perfect those things that they didn't complete. You see? They created you to perfect those things that they did not complete. Because had they complete them, there would be no disease. Because if you read in the solar biology or lunar astrology parchment, we explain that your nature changes by the moment, not by the day. One moment of the day, you can be in a passive state. The next moment of the day, you can be in an aggressive state. And that can happen within a 5-minute span. So we're not going to say, okay, today is June 1st. And no, that's, again, a concept. We will instead say, you were born during this quarter of the year. January, February, March. And by nature, you are a person because you are affected like every other animal and tree and flower and plant and insect in nature. You are a person who tends to be pessimistic because you were born during a cycle of death, meaning during that time of year, all of the trees are bare. That doesn't mean you're evil. That doesn't mean you're bad. That makes you a person who says, well, why is things this way? You're not easily convinced, another way of putting it. Now, there is a parchment that we have yet to, we've worked on it but yet to complete. It's called The Universe Aligned and You Were Born. Soul biology or lunar astrology was just to introduce to you some of the things, or the many things that my teacher, Dr. Malakazi York, taught me from a little boy on solar biology. As we were working on the parchment, it got to a point where we were over 400 pages and I still had a lot to say. My wife says to me, they're not going to be able to read this. You have to break it up. And I was like, but I'm not done. She says, I hear you. She rubbed my head. That was real cute. She rubbed my head and says, okay, listen. She really did. She said, they're not going to be able to read this. It's too many pages. So I said, okay. So we took some of the things and put it in the min parchment. But a lot of people saw the science and art of sex, something most of us are having or doing or have done, right? And said, oh, sex, I can't read that because, and people became prudish. You follow? And so there was a lot of information in the science and art of sex, which is the second part to the soul biology parchment, that people didn't read because they saw sex and they became prudish, or they took it and hid it under their shirts and they didn't want nobody to see them walking with it, because if I'm walking with a book on sex, that must mean I'm having sex. And by the fact that we have children sitting in this room, we are having sex. And then after the men priesthood parchment, we did the next part, which was the power of the ancients, their attributes and elements in you. That's a 3-part series, which once you study it and ask us the questions, we would release the universe aligned and you were born. And that one has, I have to describe it because I don't have it here, but it's 3 circles. And they sit on top of each other. And we have a mat, M-A-T, a rug, a circular rug. And it has each of the houses of the Dendera. And there are 12 deity statues. They're about 5 inches tall. And they sit in each of those houses. And with each day, if this is what you're asking, you would move the bottom circle in one direction, the middle circle in the next direction, and the second circle, the middle circle, the last one, in the final direction. The 3 directions of movement. Because the planet is rotating this way around the sun. The solar system is rotating this way around the central point of your galaxy. And your galaxy is moving this way around the universe. And that would line you up to understand what events are occurring in your life, if that's what you mean. Yes, all about it. It's here. But we're one person doing the best we can.
Also, on minstrel.
Menstruation. Minstrel. Okay.
Sex according to the Min priestly scroll. If we've been given the sex as by the Neturu as a gift, then why do we have to only do it at a particular time only to procreate?
Why can't we have sex whenever we want? Well, because you overstood. It was given as a gift for procreation to bring forth the best part of you, to perfect your genealogy. But by abusing it, by overindulging in it, it actually destroys you. Because every time a male ejaculates, the brain fluid is drained. That's why you go back to sleep, some fellas. Not that I've ever done it. Your father. And it actually ages you and shortens your lifespan. And sisters, when you over-engaged in it as well, and overpopulated, had too many children, it actually aged you. Nature, sisters, not to mother. By nature, a female is only supposed to have 4 children before her relatives will have to start leaving. Say no. Once a woman gets to her 4th child, every time she has a next child, somebody in her family usually passes thereafter. In other words, she has 4 children. When she has number 5, the baby's born this month, the following month, your uncle just passed. Because nature has what's called population control. Man, human beings, have now overpopulated the planet. There's 6 billion people. And I'm not saying this, the so-called Caucasian scientists are saying it. They're saying there's not enough water on the earth anymore. Anybody has ever heard of the water conferences they had just recently in Japan? If you turn on CNN, they have these little advertisements. We're having the 4th World Water Conservation Conference. They're telling you the world is in famine, there's not enough food. What does that mean? When there's not enough food, there's not enough water, that tells you by nature, all of these people that are here should not be here. And nature then has to remove some of them. So she says, you call that an earthquake. She cries, you call that a flood. She sends wind and you say, oh, tornado. and millions of people die. But this is something that happens every cycle. 25,000 to 50,000 hit you. So when the Neteru, or your ancestors, gave you the ability to procreate, it's not saying you can only have sex at a certain time. It's saying in our original way, when you copulated, you understood that the child produced by that would be born under a certain sign. There's certain people or certain zodiacal or solar biological signs that are creative minds or thinkers. You follow? So those priests and scribes would know we need, if I'm a priest and a scribe, and he's a priest and a scribe, and him, and there's 30 of us as priests and scribes, and we're all 50 years old, and we don't have any student priests and scribes, we understand, no, you need to procreate during this time of year so you can give birth to about 30 or 40 priest and scribe children that will study under us for the next 30 years before we give it up. And at that point, it keeps the priesthood alive. Another group of priests said, well, we are the agriculturalists. We grow the food. And most of the children being born, they don't have the mind for farming. Because anyone do martial arts? Anyone play drums? Anyone grow plants in their backyard? Anyone sing? Anyone dance? I mean, real dance? Okay, you understand that for each of those things that I've just mentioned, there is a certain mind that's necessary. Every person you meet cannot play the drum by nature. Some people are not drummers. You can teach them all day, you're like, I'm wasting my time. Every person you meet is not a farmer by nature. Some of us will kill every plant we get our hand on. It's just, even if you tell us, okay, this is what you do, we go, okay, got it, and the plant still dies. So by genetics, each of you sitting in this room, some of you are doctors. By genealogy, medicine men, medicine women. Some of you are engineers, builders. Some of you are architects. Some of you are pharmacists, chemists. Some of you are alchemists. Some of you are botanists, dealing with plants and flowers. Some of you are scribes and writers. Not I want to be, but have that ability in you, and it just needs to be developed. In our ancient culture, there was tribes and families, and within these tribes and families, we had people of each of these different schools or different levels of production or thinking, and that kept our society surviving. When someone stepped in and said, don't let your mother tell you what to do. Why are you letting your dad, he's too controlling. Follow me. And we end up listening to this person, and we don't become that which by destiny we were supposed to be. You follow? And the moment that happens, do we have any people that make shoes anymore? But come on now, the Europeans were on all fours, bare feet. How is it now they're making our shoes? How do you go from a man and a woman who originally made the shoes, and now you are buying shoes from the man and the woman who originally walked on all fours? Because you were taught to no longer be interested as a clan or a particular part of our clan or family who made the shoes. How come we don't grow our own food anymore? Because you were taught, I don't want to be no farmer. Yet everybody eats. How come we don't make our own clothing anymore? You were the original people who had the fibers and the textiles and the needles and the machines. And now we go to, was it French Connection? And some of the other places, Gap. Or the bargain basement. The cheap spots. Going on front now, I go there too. None of us rich. They got a sale. Call your friend up. There's a sale over there at £5 on my way. But we gave up that which made us unique. Originally, if I was a scribe or a teacher, guess what my children are going to be? A scribe and a teacher. Does that mean they won't have any other talents? No. But when I speak to my sons and daughters personally, I say, you're going to learn to write. You may not be writing what I'm writing about, but you're going to be writing. You're going to be doing certain things. I don't care if you don't like it. And I'm not telling you get out of my house. You ain't going to make me do that trick either, Mr. Devil. Because they say, well, if your child doesn't want to do what you do, kick him out your house. What? Kick him in the street so you can get a car? No, you stay right here. You ain't going nowhere. Until you decide to to do what I told you to do. Okay? Go ahead, last question. Just say it, I can hear you.
Where's the heart?
Just
Yeah, take your hand over.
Where's the heart?
Transfusion. Not in that way. It can transfer bacteria to your body if you're not careful. You follow? But what the body does, remember your fresh blood cells, when they give you a transfusion, bacteria can be transferred, but your bone marrow is constantly producing fresh blood cells in the bone. And eventually, those transfused blood cells that are transfused into the body are done away with by certain enzymes and certain white blood cells, and they remove it out of the bloodstream. Okay? So no, it doesn't change your eating. Alright? You're worried, huh? I should have said yes just to see what look like. Yes, it does, right? Okay? We'd like to say thank you for everyone coming again. It's our pleasure to have come before you. And let's repeat it again. Do not leave here without introducing yourself to someone that you did not already know. We thank all of the brothers and sisters from Manchester and Birmingham and London who put this event together. Seek out the Hominins Kanisa group because Africa's suffering from a brain drain. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, builders, teachers, get with us and let's get this done. Hotep.
I can say the amount of young people that are seeking knowledge, yeah, it's so vast, and I wish to see many more like this happen again. When I was a young boy growing up, there wasn't so many people seeking knowledge because teachers wasn't there to give us the knowledge. And it's gone past our stage now. The younger people, and may they get many more respect to that.
Big up Haru Hotep talk. You know, I find express how much Malachi, I can't express it in words, man. I'm totally sad, you know. Big up to the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Shadro. Big up.
It's the first time I've seen Haru Hotep and it's really good. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's as good as I've seen loads of DVDs with him. Yeah, it's better in person. Definitely.
Beautiful. And what about Dr. Bud Evans?
Oh, it's my first time. I didn't know the guy before. That guy's really. I like his lectures.
Beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah. Hot. The man them done well. Big up Mosley, big up Haru, big up Bun. Big up the people. All
I felt it was the unity in the place, just the vibes of the place was just excellent. You know, the teachers, the way how he's breaking down information and explaining things. You know what I'm saying to you? You know, it's lovely.
It was a wonderful class, and I'm very happy that the brothers came. You see that the spirit change, you know, and they have to travel more, you know, and I will bring all this good news to Amsterdam, Holland.
Beautiful. Oh, so you're one of the sisters from over there?
Yeah, we're from Holland.
Okay. That's beautiful. Yeah. So how's the doctrine out there?
Powerful, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Powerful.
The Dr. Malachi used words spreading around.
Spreading in the big city of Amsterdam, and from there we are gonna spread it more.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Your family, it's nice to have you over here. And as the brother said, it's a mingle.
It was very good. I came right from Amsterdam, especially to see the show here.
Okay,
it was very good. Yes, I enjoy it, and a lot of things I didn't know here today.
Beautiful.
And especially to meet Haru.
Okay.
I will meet him a long time ago, and I meet him today.
Okay.
It was great.
Live, warm, the love, community. That's what I'm saying. More of it.
You know what I mean? It was a great event and everything, yeah, but we know we need to have more of them because at the end of the day there's unity here.
Don't worry.
That's all I really have to say, you know.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah? Beautiful. beautiful. Lovely vibe.
Yeah, it was cool though, because I mean, like, we got everyone that kept it all family. And not only that, they were breaking some information down that kind of brought us all together. We laughed together, we sang together and stuff like that.